Hello, Matthias here and welcome back to another Bitwig episode. As you probably know, there's tons of new tools for handling automation in Bitwig 6, and in this video I'm gonna give you some hands-on experience on how to use many of these new features. Let's take the tour. Right, so first out we can press the A key to open up all the automation lanes for all the tracks. And if you're coming from a tool like Logic Pro, you're gonna feel right at home here with pressing A to open up the automation. And you can also see this dedicated button to open the automation mode. As usual, we can also go up per track. So if we select this bottom track with the polymer synth, we have this little toggle automation lane button. And there's a short key for that. Press Shift and A. So A for showing and toggling the automation full mode, and Shift A to open up the automation lanes, the separate small lanes for that specific track. So depending on if you want to work with a full-on automation on all the tracks at the same time or just focus on one track, we can just hold Shift and A and focus on automation on this single track. So that's two different ways of showing automation in Bitwig 6. Right, so let's begin looking at automating the filter cutoff of this polymer synth, this bottom track. So select the bottom track and we're gonna wiggle this parameter for the filter cutoff. Press the A key to go into the automation mode. So there we have our automation line currently set to 770 Hertz, as you can see on the parameter. As usual, we can add nodes on this automation line, just hover above the line and add a few nodes like this. And we can move these nodes, as usual, and hover above the line, press the Alt key to make a curve, or drag upwards like this to make the curve go like that. So we're gonna add a few of these and just have some automation going there for the filter cutoff. Maybe let it go up like that just for the end of it. Right, so if you hover above the line and just go a little bit below or a little bit above the line, you can see our arrow gets this little up and down arrow to the side of the cursor. And that means that we can move the whole line. So that's a good way of, instead of like moving both of these points, say that we want to move the whole line a little bit lower. Instead, just hover a little bit above or below the line. Then we can just drag it to different places like this. Right, so next up we're gonna look at the automation clips feature, which is a new feature here in Bitwig 6. So hold the Alt key above the automation line, or the automation lane. You can see we get this lighter gray, which shows that if we click, we're gonna turn this into an automation clip. So hold the Alt and press, and this turns into an automation clip. Now the cool thing about these clips is that aside from our MIDI clip, we also have an automation clip below that. And this automation clip also can be shorter than the notes, so you can actually make it like that. So now it's just one bar, but if we go out of automation mode, you can see we still have that 4-bar corporation. But the underlying automation clip is shorter. So you can have different length, you can even have it longer than the MIDI clip like that. So it can cover other MIDI clips. But we're going to shorten it so it's the same length as our MIDI clip. We can also change the time for this. You can set it to free time, and that means you can move this automation outside your normal time. It can be quite wise to check out your position, length, and offset there if you start fiddling with free time for your automation, but sometimes that can be useful if you want to move it just outside the region of the actual MIDI clip. Right, so what can we do with the automation clips? What's the benefit here? One thing we can do, just straight out of the box here, if we go and look here, we have a bass track above. And the bass track also have a cutoff, but it's like a different parameter, or it's a totally different synth. This is a polysynth, this is the polymer. But if we move this clip to the bass, just hold Alt and we copy that automation clip to the bass. Look here, when we press play and look at the filter cutoff. So straight out of the box, this automation clip works with the cutoff frequency for this polysynth, which actually came from the polymer synth. So that's one way that we can use these clips. You can like copy them to other tracks very easily. Unlike other programs where it can be a real hassle to copy automation between different tracks, between different parameters, here it's going to be super easy since we can just use the same clip. So say that we had a parameter for the spread. Let's add some automation for the spread. We're actually going to press Shift A to open. So we can see both these automation lines. Look here, we can drag the cutoff frequency clip here to the spread. And that way we get the same kind of automation that we had for the cutoff frequency for the spread parameter. Isn't that nice? Nice little feature. but maybe not use that high value for the spread parameter. Really sounds out of tune. But I also want to show you how flexible it is to use the automation clips here. Right, so we're going to close down the spread parameter and just continue looking at the cutoff frequency here. So, more benefits of using clips. We can of course hold the Alt key and copy this clip and use it progressively throughout our track. Now the thing here is that these are unique at the moment. You can see if I make changes to the second clip, nothing happens to our first clip. Sometimes you want that, but sometimes you want to use linked clips or alias clips, like in FL Studio. So how do we accomplish that? Well, one way we can do that is select our first clip here and hold the command key and drag this to the side. You can see we get a different cursor. Now if we let go, you can see this little paperclip icon on the top right corner of these automation clips. And that means that they are linked, they are alias clips. So if I make changes to the first one, the second one will just follow along. Or make changes to the second one, and the first one gonna change. So that's useful if you have one little, say that you want to like add automation for your kick bass, like making a sidechain automation or something. And you want to have the same exact automation sidechain throughout the track. You just make alias clips throughout your song, and then if you need to make minor adjustments, you don't have to make changes to all of them. Just make changes to one of these alias clips, and they all gonna follow along. Isn't that nice? Right, so another thing regarding alias clips. Let's select one of these clips and we're going to look in the spectral panel at the top. You can see that it reads 2. And that means that there's 2 copies of this alias clip. And you can also make them unique. Say that we want to make the first one unique. Go up here and say make unique. And that paperclip disappears. Now, since we don't have any alias clips anymore, both of the clips disappear, but say that we had 3 of them like this. And we select all of these automation clips and we make them merge duplicate patterns. So we make them into an alias clip. And we select one of these, just go up here, make unique, and that way this can change and be totally different than these 2 others which will always be reflect each other and be the same. So that's basically how you use these alias clips. Look how flexible it is. Okay, so that's an introduction to automation in Bitwig 6. Now we can continue into the next episode. I'm going to talk more about automation and look how we can spray automation nodes. And also how we can randomize node values, which is a kind of cool feature. And some more advanced stuff. So see you in the next episode. Bye.